Hi folks, it's the 20th of December today. I just want to talk a little bit about government. I've just been down the bank. I'm closing down my old business, and I just had to pay for last year £3,451 and some pennies in corporation tax. Now where does that go? I've been looking at, I've not claimed on the dole for 20 odd years. I very rarely go to the doctors. Basically, I'm not a drain on the state. We pay our own way. We've got no debt apart from a mortgage. We don't borrow money, not from banks or anything with usury attached. And we do alright. But I was wondering where that money goes. I've got a salary job now. A third of my money gets stolen, which makes me a slave, because they take my money without my consent. So, where does it all go? My wife tried to report somebody hit our car the other day and just drove off in the middle of the night. Didn't own up to it. So now we've got a car that's smashed up all down one side, all four panels and a wheel. So the our insurance company said, better report it to 101. So what did we do? Phoned 101, and we waited. I waited 2 hours, and still nobody picked up. And I know people will say, oh yeah, but they're under-resourced. That's a load of shite. Under-resourced my ass. They're too busy prosecuting people for hurty words on Facebook and YouTube, and I hope that this brings home to you that government is inherently illegitimate. The police, the olden day police, I mean, they certainly weren't wonderful, but there was a minimum intelligence level if you wanted to be a policeman. Now, if you haven't got two brain cells to rub together, the door's wide open for you. And that's because they've been trained. They're not constables anymore, they're corporate enforcement. They're there to purely make money. Devon and Cornwall Police are registered on Dun & Bradstreet as a private for-profit corporation. And that's exactly what they do, and they look after their corporate charges. So the whole of the state is propped up by these order followers. They're too brain dead to realise, or not realise, but take responsibility for thinking for themselves. So, to be a good person and not a bad person, you have to take responsibility. When somebody says do that, if it's a wrong thing, so if I said to you, go and smack that bloke in the face, and you went and did it, well, that's what police officers do. Notice I said officers, not police constables, because a constable would enforce common law, and that protects you and me. I don't want to hear all this claptrap about common law. It's just as bad as corporate admiralty law. It's not. Because corporate admiralty law is all about contracts with dead entities. This is why you've got a birth certificate, because you're dead. They can't deal with a live man or woman, so they create this piece of paper that's got your alleged name on it, and that's who they deal with. So there we go. The police are funded by my taxes. The military, another bunch of order followers, are funded by my taxes. You know, you've got the loathsome pieces of scrap flesh called politicians are saying, oh no, we got no troops in Syria and all that, and then a couple of days later there's the SAS in in the deserts of Syria or wherever it was. I can't remember now. You've got, I'm glad to say we don't support the BBC anymore, because that takes money away from BBC Media Action, which are change agents. That's why there's BBC employees in jail in Iran at the moment, because of their links to the BBC. Whether they were spies or not, I don't know, but they certainly got links to the BBC. And this the Iranian government and realises exactly what's going on. So there's another bit, and you've got all these politicians with their expense accounts, and they're all on the take. They refuse to answer questions. They only do what they're told by the whips, on threat of having pictures of little children doing things found in inverted commas on their computers. You know, Tim Fortescue, the Tory whip from the 1970s, said, if we have trouble with, we make the trouble go away for the MP. It might be little boys, or it might be embezzlement, or whatever, and then that trouble goes away, but the MPs then owned, aren't they? So where else does it go? Oh yeah, it goes to promote the selling of arms abroad to foreign powers. It goes to force or bribe, whatever you want to call it, councils, force them to build tens of thousands of houses. Did you know that all these houses being built everywhere, the order comes directly from central government? If the local council says no, we're not. What's this guy doing? If the council says no, we're not building tens of thousands of houses, the government will fine them the cost of what it costs to build tens of thousands of houses. So they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So I'm forced to pay council tax. I don't use the council for anything. See, the point being, if you're forced to pay tax, then you're a slave, which means that the government is no more than a slave master, a gang master. If you say you're not going to pay your tax, they'll come round, kick your door in. There's a prime example. I don't know if you can see that. Not the windmill. That tower there. See it through the trees? That's only gone up in the last few months. The government is spending a fortune on 5G rollout. So they're using our tax dollars to kill us with cancer. Do you know that permanently changes your DNA? the RF radiation from those transmitters. Where else does it go? Let's see. Oh yeah, the Integrity Initiative, MI5, MI6, all of these change agents that want to destroy everything from, in inverted commas, democracy to, you know, they want to control everything, and they use the money from our taxes to pay for these. You know, they give grants to these supposed charities like the Integrity Initiative and that. And it all leads to we're paying for our own destruction. They're rolling out UN Agenda 21. They're making it more and more difficult for people to live in the countryside. We was up on holiday in Wales not so long ago. And there's whole areas there. We saw lots of protest signs saying no to rewilding. Well, rewilding is the fluffy name for kicking you off out of your own home, ripping all the roads up, knocking all the houses down, and leaving it. But what they're not telling you is that it's actually a corporate land grab, because they'll privatise that land out to a, in inverted commas, management company. Nobody will be allowed to go on that land because it's then private land. So no footpaths, no nothing. They really want to destroy our whole way of life. Ooh. You see that? The sack trucks fell out on it. They want to destroy our entire way of life. They want to destroy the nuclear family. They've already got us all as slaves. But the slaves have got too much autonomy. They're trying to increase taxes through this green agenda. There's another place your taxes are going to, which nobody's voted for, nobody's consented to. Non-consent is the only way. Become a real anarchist. Now, you can't walk away from everything. You can't turn your back on every single rule and regulation purely because if you don't get a driving license, they'll steal your car, kick your door in, steal your car, take away your sweat equity, what you've worked for, so you're just paying even more tax. So some things you have to do, but the ways you can really hurt the system in a lot of ways is don't borrow money from banks. If you can, borrow it from families, or do something that will earn you a little bit more cash on the side that you don't pay tax on. If you don't need state documents, don't get them. If you don't need a driving license, don't bother. Stop paying your TV license. Stop watching the BBC altogether, TV altogether. That's another way of non-compliance, because then you don't get your news off the internet from reputable sources like 21st Century Wire, UK Column, the Corbett Report, all these different outlets that actually provide sources for their news, rather than the lies and crap that comes out the mainstream media. People say, well, the Guardian's not, yeah, all the media in this country is owned by 5 companies. and they're all part of the same gang. Whether you're looking at media, you're looking at the military, the police, government, they're all part of the same gang. The lack of justice system. There's no justice in the justice system. It's just about earning money. So that's just, think about it. Have a look at Larkin Rose. He's got an excellent book that you can download or buy from Amazon that explains what I'm going on about. And just educate yourself a little bit. Try and stay away from the system as much as possible, because that really hurts them. And it's amazing how pissy people get in what they think is a position of authority when you ask them why. When you ask the question why. Where's that data going? What are you doing with my data? What do you want to know that for? That's none of your business. Is another favourite of mine. No is another favourite word of mine. So I just paid some money into the bank because I've got to. But that money's going directly, maybe not to kill me off, but certainly the youth that's coming up, who are being educated to be blind morons, and to murder small children and that in Yemen and Iraq and Syria and that. Maybe the MPs wouldn't be so keen to promote the arms industry and all this subversion and everywhere if it was children in Oxford being educated or whatever. Anyway, I've ranted enough. I'll catch you later.